Okay, now we will talk about the forecasting, scheduling, and deviation mechanism. Instead of this, in a gist way, I would like to talk about at forecasting at SRLC. We had gone through 4 phases. First phase and second phase was in-house. First was on the historical data we gone. The second was try to incorporate the weather data also. Okay. Third phase we entered a MOU with this actual forecast providers. And the fourth phase we have this REMC centers. And in terms of scheduling, presently after forecasting story doesn't end there. So it is effective from 1/11/2015. Okay. One a day is divided into 16 times of 1.5 hour each, starting from 00 hours, and in one slot you can revise for only one time. Okay, unlike a conventional. On top of it, he can revise effective from fourth time block. When I say time block, it is of 15 minutes. Okay, and any deviation, and the here the important is the payments are based on schedule, and the remaining deviation would be based on the deviation. Okay, and in terms of the deviation, okay, unlike a conventional where the deviation is actual minus schedule, here the deviation is based on the percentage normalized to available capacity. Okay, here this is one of the facility we have made RE2 up to 15%. Okay, if he gets over injection, that means because he is getting a scheduled rate, the remaining he is going to get deviation at what rate? At the PPA rate itself. Okay, if he is under injection, because he got at the PPA rate, he has to give back to the pool. So at any point of time, if his scheduling error is within plus or minus 15%, okay, he is basically getting at PPA rate to his actuals. Okay, but if he is going up to these ranges, for every range there is a 10%. Okay, to force him. One example I would give. Okay, if he is over injection, he schedules 100 megawatt. Okay, up to 15% it is allowed. He injects by 120 megawatt. So 15% no problem. 115 to 120 is 5 megawatt more. For that, suppose if his PPR rate is 1 rupee. Okay, up to 15 megawatt, that is 100 to 115, he gets at 1 rupee, no problem. From 115 to 120, that 5 megawatt, he is not going to get at 1 rupee, he is going to get at 90 paise. Okay, that means 10%. Similarly, after 25%, he is going to get at 80 paise. That means he is going to get less. So he is forced to revise his schedule so that he is coming between below the 15%. Okay. Similarly, on the underside also there have been penalism. Normally he gets at 1 rupee. If he under injects, he has to pay 1.1 rupees. In this example of 1 rupee. So if it is multiple PPA, what if multiple PPAs are there? We are trying to take the weighted average of it. Okay. But if he is selling in open access, there would be no PPA. So there is one average power purchase cost being given at the CRC, that rate is going to be used. So scheduling. So certain initiative we will talk about one by one. Transmission planning. See, we talked about one of the policy measure exclusive planning to him. As of now, the potential identified is 66.5 gigawatt, solar 50 and wind energy 16.5. In 2 phases, transmission lines are going to come up, out of which 20 gigawatt in west northern, western 28, southern region. So for this 66.5 gigawatt, already the transmission is being planned. Okay, so this is one such major initiative. So technical standards, yes, one of the thing. So roughly I will run through. Now he has been mandated to give operated 0.95 to 0.95 lead. When I say 0.95 lead, basically he is going to observe and support. Okay. Power quality, he has to measure every year by a third party. Okay. And harmonics also is mentioned over here to measure. Short circuit ratio, because the short circuit ratio goes down in case of renewables. So minimum of 5 is mandated. Now we talk about something interesting on the set points. Okay, if anything about 10 megawatt and 33 kV is getting connected, okay, he should have a set point control where based on RLC instruction or SLDC instruction, he can control from his central location. Okay, the other is there, we will come there for 10 megawatt and above. That means it is not that he is just pumping in, he should have a control. If given advice, he should curtail. That is the level of control it has been envisaged. Similarly, he cannot just vary. He should have a rate of change of power should not be more than plus or minus 10% per minute. If it goes, the control mechanism has to be there so that the variation is not more than that. Now, there is another provision which is expected if the plant capacity is more than 500 megawatt, he should provide a communication and other controls to RLDC and SLDC, wherein RLDC, SLDC can directly initiate a signal to control it. Okay. Whereas the first one, this portion was, he will do control based on our instruction. This is direct control from our end. Okay. Like a normal conventional generator, frequency curve, that is basically governor mode or the free governor mode of operation, is expected here in a droop of 3 to 6% with a deadband of 0.03 hertz. Typically, we are expecting him to give a governor response. Okay. So operating range is mentioned over here. Okay. And his frequency response effective is to be from 10% to 100%. Anywhere he operates. So that means if he is operating below 10%, he is not expected to give. And in terms of LVRT, HVRT, we have a LVRT curve over here. So he talks about anything about 33 kV level connected, he is to perform like this. That means when the voltages go specified as per this curve with this time, he is supposed to stay connected, not to get disconnected. And another which has come in this amendment clarity is, if the objective is 90% of the pre-fault value has to be restored within 1 second. Okay. And the supply, because we are talking about low voltage, at that point of time, it is reactive power which has to be given priority. That means to say, even active power needs to be compromised to give this much reactive power support, they need to do. So that means that's the language. Now directly they have said active power has to be compromised, but the priority for active power is second. Okay. And earlier HVRT provision was not there. Now the high voltages are there. So these high voltage, different range scales, different times have been mentioned over here. This of course is a public document. Now similarly, grid code is old enough. Earlier grid code has come in 2010. There have been various amendments to support renewables. Now there have been many things which have been talked about. So this I am leaving it. So to presentation is there what has been covered. One important aspect is it talks about the model validation and on-site testing also. Okay. Earlier it was not there. Now it talks about testing before trial run, mandatory primary response. So all these aspects have been covered. Now we'll see about the flexibility part, how other generators have been. This is where our experience is there. This is the demand over the years. See, earlier when no renewable, our ramp requirement was less. Over the years, our demand ramp requirement is more. Similarly, hydro ramp is increasing. Thermal ramp is also increasing. That means we are operating more. We are flexing thermal and hydro to accommodate the renewables. And one operation which has switched, you can easily see here the shift here. Earlier, our generators were giving 70% was the technical of the ISGS. Now the technical minimum is 55%. Okay, that means I can back down. Okay, this is the Simhadri plant. So earlier my backing down was happening up to this level. Now it is going up to here. This is basically a down reserve we are talking about. So now we are having the flexibility to go down more. seasonable variation hydro we have talked about. Not only this, we have this HVDC systems. What is this HVDC? We are talking about facts. Okay. The numbers are mentioned here. I'm not talking about the numbers. How it is helping me when we are renewable rich. Okay, we are my flow towards my region is going to come. Basically, I'm talking with respect to southern region. Flow towards southern region is going to come down. So my AC line voltages are going to go high because it's a 765 kV interconnection. Parallel to this AC, we have this Talcher Kolar HVDC and the back-to-back stations of Gazwak and Chandrapur, wherein these are controllable HVDC lines. I'm just giving an example. If I reduce my HVDC line flow, automatically the flow on the AC lines are going to go up. So whereby I'm able to manage these AC lines. It's an indirect way it is helping me. In terms of forecasting, like we said, the fourth phase we are into. We have got Renewable Energy Management Center across 11 locations. Rajasthan, MP, Gujarat, Maharashtra, TNAP, Karnataka, and 3 are RLDCs and NLDC, basically in the renewable rich states. To talk about the forecasting tool, we have this totally 5 forecasters. 3 is basically 4, 3 from external forecasters. Aliasoft, Aricanet, and one more is there, Febroc. Okay, these are giving power forecast. Okay, we have one internal forecast module which is located at each of the control centers, which gets weather forecast and it also predicts a forecast. So as far as we are concerned, there are 4 forecasts which we are trying to get. And with the internal engine, we have a forecast combine and aggregation. So what this fellow tries to do is, he tries to give weightage to these forecasts, 3 external plus 1 internal, okay? And the final forecast is coming for scheduling purpose, okay? Now, what is the challenge? Is an advantage is there as well as disadvantage is there. Advantage is it is using artificial intelligence, no manual intervention, everything is happening. Okay, but the disadvantage is my operator is unable to visualize how exactly it is doing. It's a black box for us. That is why now as a SRLDC operator, we have taken lead recently to look into artificial intelligence, to learn ourselves, to build a model on our own, to help us to build a forecast parallelly. This contract is for 6 years plus 1 year warranty. Forecast is provided for 4 years. So that means the expectation is also like after 4 years, this model has to get tuned as well as the RLDC operator, SLDC operator has to train themselves to make the forecast. These are some of the visuals we have. It basically forecasts the week ahead, day ahead, and intraday. Okay. This is one snapshot we have. This is basically the 4+1 5 forecasters, forecast versus actual. In summary, this is a schedule revision summary where 16 revisions are there. All the revisions are not used by the people. Wherever this yellow color highlighted is there, they are using. If you see, these are the mid of the day where solar is more, so they are trying to use. In other blocks, they are not actually using. Balancing. So when the solar is there, this is what we are trying to talk about. Inter-regional exchange. When my solar is at the peak of the midday, my purchases are going down in the regional. Rather, it can be purchased or I am selling more, my net is coming down. Similarly, if you see here the split is there, export and import. My import is going down, okay. I'm not purchasing more. You see the negative side, my sale is also going through the market, okay. Similarly, in terms of flexing, when we talk about on this particular time, during solar at the mid part, my flexing is happening. That is my hydro and thermal is minimum. In the other time, it is maximized. In terms of market design, what we have, okay, there is a pilot project because this more the time, presently we are at 15-minute time blocks. There is a plan to go to 5 minutes in the near future. Presently, pilot project is envisaged to experience before we actually move on. That means my scheduling will be of 5 minutes. So my ramp, the requirement, flexibility requirement would come down. Okay. And other aspect is the latest we have got this real-time market. What does this mean? Earlier the SLDC did not have the close to the real market. Okay. We had other venues, but now he can directly bid and get. Okay, within maximum of 1.5 hours. Before 1.5 hours he can get. So this is a real-time market we have as of now. Okay. Other is we have this frequency control reserves. A order is already placed. Primary response is already mandated. Okay, but the performance part to be tested to get the actual response. The testing contract is already awarded to test each of the generator. At least at the central level, we have awarded the contract so that each of the generator gets tested for the primary response output. Similarly, for the AGC part, which is very necessary, secondary control, okay, that is 5 pilot projects already in place, okay, that is to gain experience, but CRC order is there to implement. Already timeline is over, 80 gigawatt has to come. It's a matter of another 1 year, I suppose. We are likely to the secondary control. Similarly, fast ancillary, earlier we did not have any control with RLDC or NLDC POSOCO. Now we have this ancillary services at close to 60 gigawatt thermal plants. Another, this is a slow tertiary. Fast territory also we have tried in terms of hydro. What is fast? I should get a fast response. Thermal is slow. So we did a fast on the hydro ancillary service also. In terms of reserves, presently 4,000 megawatt is envisaged, and other aspects we have touched upon. Lift irrigation, here we have almost come to the end. This is very important, which is unique to southern region. Okay, it is basically to lift water from lower area to higher area in terms of 100 to 300 kilometers, which is very unique in many places are there. This much capacity is in Andhra and Telangana, okay, in the Deccan Plateau, okay. You see the amount of things which are planned. 4,600 megawatt Kaleshwaram plant is already commissioned. And next under commission is another 4,700 in another plant and 484. You just look at the size. It's like a lower reservoir somewhere in the higher side. These are spanning around around 150 to 300 kilometers, okay. In between these, whatever the tank size we are seeing, everywhere different capacities pumps are there. Basically, these are all synchronous machines. Okay, the highest capacity is 139 megawatt. So this capacity, if you see, the power requirement in this project is 4,600 megawatt, split into small capacities. So these are synchronous machines. It can give me inertia. It is having distributed loads. I can fast start stop, reactive power, because being a synchronous machine, it can give me reactive support. It can give me governor response. It can give me a ramping capability. This is very unique. Of course, presently it is just to show a sample example. You see the motor, the speed at which it can come down. Okay, at around 656 or something, 655 rather. It was consuming around 110 megawatt. They are given a shutdown. It came around 657. So hardly 3-4 minutes, the machine stopped. So 82 megawatt per minute, this machine. Similarly, starting also it is very fast. So around 47 megawatt. This I am taking a simple mode, single motor. Okay. On the reactive part also it can give. That means what? So 4,600 megawatt in this present case, it's flexible in nature. Okay. Now, certainly it is with irrigation department. Okay. We are, and another beauty is this entire thing is SCADA controlled. Okay. There is a control with sitting at one location by the irrigation department, they can control it. Now we have pursued with the states. They are talking between state and we are not expecting it to come to central level. The discussion is between state and irrigation department. Okay. Within their state to take this control to state level. power SLDC, so that irrigation department, like our hydro, we run for the irrigation requirements. Irrigation people will tell, okay, this much water has to be pumped on a day basis, so that the operator can flex these and ensure that the day MU, the liters or MU is same, but he gets the flexibility. This is the one beauty unique to southern region, that unique to Andhra and Telangana. So roughly around in future, we are trying to get around close to 10 gigawatt from these. Okay, that's very good. And the last but not the least slide, how to accommodate technical minimum. We need to bring states, I said, 200 plus megawatt, they are running at 70%. They need to bring it to 55%, which would give more down reserves. And one part which I have not touched about, the ramp incentive part, there is a CRC regulation which gives 0.25% incentive for every 1% increase in ramp. So the same similar mechanism needs to come in intrastate level. Of course, the lift irrigation schemes which we are talking about has to come wherever feasible, and identified pump storages we need to explore. One area is interconnection. We have interconnection with other countries wherein we can exchange, like Bhutan is a good place where hydropower is there. At times we export to them. We can explore the SARC so that we can exchange powers when we are surplus. Essential reliability services like FGMO service or reactive service we have talked about, we can explore it further. Strengthening of transmission system, like do we need to look on N-1 or wherever weak areas are there, that we can think about. Aggregators, yes, very important. At the central level, we don't have aggregators. We have seen that as we aggregate more, the error is going to come down. So we can, but it is there in certain states. We can think of aggregators at the central level also. And because the most of the plants are certain states have come at the distribution level also, we require distribution system operators. We have transmission system operators like SLDC and independent system operators like RLC and LDC. We want to have distribution system operators. Okay, and we have ancillary services, basically fast, slow at interstate. It is not there intrastate. Okay, he needs to have that. Now financial instruments, okay, so that people can play around with that market equipment instrument. Earlier, just to give an update, there was a tussle between CRC and I think SEBI. I think now the issue is sorted out. Maybe it's a matter of time where we would see financial instruments in the electricity market also. And on top of it, you talk about anything, the base, the success in central sector is the ABT mechanism, availability based mechanism. So it is there in very few states. It needs to be must. Already there is a, like another documents we talked about, SAMAST is one of the documents. It's available in public domain. Most of the states are in the implementation stage. It needs to be speeded up because that is the base thing. You have to come to schedule, not in terms of actual. The moment you put schedule, the moment you put penalism, they are going to forecast better. You are going to handle RE better. And last but not the least, here at the central level, we have been making these sessions. Okay, at the state level, at the distribution level, at the RE generator level, there needs to be a capacity building, particularly in the RE industry. Why? Because these are handled by certain developers, certain QCs on behalf of many owners. If you see the involvement in, particularly in wind turbine, there have been many players, individual owners who has invested 2 megawatt, 3 megawatt investments. They don't know what is grid requirements. They have put the investment, they need only returns. The education to them about the slides which I made, what are the documents to be known, is very essential. I think I have taken 10-15 minutes more, nevertheless. It's a large subject. It is difficult to cover the entire thing. My idea was to give a opening, people to explore.